Earlier today, the Fresno Sheriff's Sexual Assault Unit, along with the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force, conducted an investigation into an allegation of misconduct by a teacher with a student. Earlier tonight, we arrested 39-year-old Krystal Jackson out of the Kingsburg area. She has been charged with 4 counts of rape, single counts of continuous sexual abuse of a child, oral copulation with a child, lewd acts with a child, communicating with a child with the intent to commit a felony, and meeting with a child for lewd purposes. She is currently booked in the jail. We received this information earlier today, and detectives worked all day on it, and we now have Ms. Jackson in custody. She has been a teacher with the Kings Canyon Unified School District since 2020, and we believe that she has been a teacher in other school districts prior to that. The victim in this is a 14-year-old boy who was one of her students and is now a former student. We are asking the public if anyone has any information about this case, or if there are any other victims out there, we're asking them to please come forward. As of right now, we do not have additional victims, but we can't say for certain whether or not there are additional victims. Again, this has been an ongoing sexual abuse case with the student, which one of those charges is specifically for continued sexual abuse of a child, which requires at least 3 or more acts within a specified period of time. Just again, if anyone has information about Krystal Jackson or anything that they would like, please come forward to the Sheriff's Office.
Do you know what school the boy attended?
The boy was part of an independent studies school, and that school was Mountain View School, which is an independent studies program. And part of the independent studies program, they have commonly referred to as homeschool. They will meet with a teacher one-on-one once a week, and we believe that is what was taking place. The student would meet with Ms. Jackson, and we believe that they were alone when they met at a school in the mountains, Dunlap Leadership Academy. Although he was not a student there, that was the common place that she would meet with independent studies students. And again, we're still looking into a lot of this. We're still very preliminary, but we were able to get some forensic evidence that is corroborating to the statements that we're getting. And so she was, in fact, arrested tonight for those crimes.
How was this brought to light to the Sheriff's Department?
I received a phone call today, just this morning about it, from someone who wanted to report it. We're going to kind of keep that kind of close to the vest for right now, simply because we don't know if there are any more victims. And, you know, it's one of those things that anyone who's in a position of trust, like a teacher, we take these very seriously. We had 2 full units working on this all day today to just kind of try to get to the bottom of it. We take these allegations very seriously, and we're very thorough with how we investigate them. But, we had concerns with this, with her being in that position of trust. So we had to act quickly with this to make sure that this doesn't continue with any other children.
Do you know what year he was her student?
I don't know how long he's been her student, but I know that it's been over the course of the last year.
So you said the 3 different times, so do you guys think it's more than 3, or?
So I'm telling you that in order to meet the criteria for that specific penal code section, which is the continual sexual abuse of a child, the penal code requires a minimum of 3. We're not going to put out how many times this took place or specifically where it took place, and we're really doing that to protect the victim in this. The last thing we want to do is make this any harder for this child who's already gone through enough.
If there are other victims, where do you want them to?
We're asking them to reach out to the Sheriff's Office, specifically if they can call and ask for Detective Jose Leon, and his phone number is going to be in the press release, but it is 600-8205, 559-600-8205. And we also take this opportunity to remind parents to be diligent. Check your kids' cell phones, ask them about their days, and just be very engaged in their online lives also. We do have digital forensic evidence that was a big help in this case, and we do want to remind parents, please be diligent with your children, even when they're around people in positions of trust, to just ask the important questions. If things seem wrong and you don't like what's happening, say something. You can call us. We'll help your children. We'll help you with those problems.
Does Krystal Jackson reside in Kingsburg?
She lives in Tulare County, but she does live just outside of Kingsburg.
And so you said that she possibly worked, or you believe that she worked at another school. Are you guys releasing the name of that school, or for how long?
I believe that she's worked at numerous school districts. I believe that she has been an educator for quite a while. We don't have an exact date. We don't have her exact work history. But from some of the people we talked to, we believe that she was involved with other school districts and other schools, all within this general area. But currently, the only place that we believe that she was working was at Mountain View School through Kings Canyon Unified School District.
When you talk about this area, like in the Central Valley?
Central Valley,
or?
yeah.
Do you know what grade she was teaching?
So she teaches independent studies, so I don't know that it's grade specific. I think that, at least in this case, she was meeting with this one particular student who was, 14, so whatever grade would be appropriate for that. We don't know how many students she was meeting with. Kings Canyon Unified School District has been made aware of the investigation, and they're being cooperative with us in every way that they can. I've spoke with them this evening also, and they're being very helpful with all the information that they could possibly give at this point.
Sorry if you answered this in the beginning, but how long has she been a teacher again?
I don't know exactly how long she's been a teacher. She was hired for this specific school with Kings Canyon Unified in 2020, but prior to that, we know that she has prior education experience, but I don't know exactly which schools yet, because we're just still pretty early in. I'm sure that that's going to come out quickly. Unfortunately, she is not being cooperative with us, which is part of the reason that we need to ask for the public's help for some of this information.
Do you know if she's married or has kids?
I do know that, and I just don't think it's appropriate to put out at this point. It's just too early, and I don't know that that's really incredibly relevant to our victim.
Can you speak about what's next for the investigation? Have you guys been able to get
Sure.
any evidence, any text messages, calls?
So we have collected evidence, and we have conducted interviews, but like every case anymore, there's going to be digital footprints, and we do have some digital forensics currently. And a big part of this case is going to be the additional devices and the additional information just following up on it. So there's going to be more forensic analysis that's going to take place probably over the next week or so. My detectives are going to work through the weekend on this to get all the information they can. And really, it's to try to make sure that there are no additional victims. That's our big concern right now. Ms. Jackson is in custody right now. We believe that our child is safe tonight, which we're thankful for. But we don't know if there's other victims. And that's a big reason why we're reaching out to the public to try to seek out if there are any other victims to please come forward and let them know that this is a safe place to talk about it.
During these independent studies, would it typically just be her and the student in a room?
So that's something that we're probably going to have to defer to Kings Canyon Unified School District as far as policies and the way that they are supposed to do it. I just can't speak to that. But I can tell you that in our case, we believe that it was just the student and the teacher. Now, obviously, there's other things that were going wrong, so I can't speak to what the school stance is on how those are conducted. But I know that Kings Canyon is aware of this, and I believe that they are going to be prepared for questions coming up.
Obviously, when you get a call or a tip on something like this, what's the process of investigating something like this? Have you guys been rushing to do that? And also, can you speak about the horrific nature of something like this?
I would say that regarding specifically the horrific nature, it really is that the worst part about this, I think, is that our victim was abused. That's number one. But also just the fact that our suspect is in a position of trust. When you drop your kids off at school, when you take your kid to school, you trust that everything is going to be good and that they're going to be safe. And, they are almost all the time. Unfortunately, there are some bad, and this is one of those bad. So when something like this is brought to our attention, we stop everything to do it, because it's not fair to the students to not feel that trust. It's not fair to the parents to not feel that trust. And it's not fair to the teachers that are doing the right thing. And most teachers are doing the right thing. And so we want to get rid of the ones that are not. And it seems like that's exactly what we're dealing with this case.
Can you clarify where the boy goes to school? Or what his...
Sure. He is in the district of Kings Canyon Unified School District. Part of that school district is Mountain View, which is an independent studies program. Now, that is an overall program that it's homeschool, but part of that is they meet with their teachers once a week. Where they met was in Dunlap at the Dunlap Leadership Academy. I know that gets confusing with multiple schools, but she is an employee of Kings Canyon Unified, and he is a student of Mountain View Independent Study School.
Was there a warrant to search for a home?
No. We are still doing a lot more follow-up on this case. There's a lot more work to be done, including warrants, including other investigative tools that we're going to need to use for this case. Our big thing about getting this pushed out early on is to reach out to other victims, really. Ms. Jackson, she's in custody. She's in custody for now. She'll have an opportunity for bail. But as of right now, she's in custody, and so this is why we want to take that opportunity to reach out to any other possible victims. So please come forward, or any parents that might have suspicions. Please come forward and say something.
Where was she at when you guys arrested her, and what was her demeanor?
She was uncooperative, and we met her here at the office.
Are you able to share just like how recently these crimes were committed?
Well, because it's ongoing, I can say that we believe it took place over the span of months. I kind of want to leave it at that, just because I don't want to get too much into victim identification, because he's just a boy at this point.
Talk about just how essential the Internet Crimes Task Force is, and how you guys get help from other agencies as well.
Sure. So the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force is a vital tool in a lot of these investigations, especially when you talk about forensic evidence and protecting children. That task force, that is their mission, is to protect children and to keep them safe. In this case, they worked very closely with the primary investigators, which are just sexual assault detectives. That is all that they do. And luckily, the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force is local, and they can assist on cases like this to obtain the digital forensics.